Hello, everyone. Charles Watts here. Welcome back to Inside Arsenal. It is Wednesday. We're halfway through the week. I hope you're having a good day wherever you're watching or listening to this around the world. Not too long to go now until Arsenal are back in action, of course, with that game against Leicester on Saturday, 12:30 p.m. I'll be at the King Power Stadium. Looking forward to that one. Looking forward to seeing how Arsenal play an attack, what they're going to do there, which, of course, we're going to talk about in this show with the news about Kai Havertz now starting to emerge from Dubai. Couldn't have predicted that, could we? Anyway, we are going to talk about that. We're going to look at what options Mikel Arteta has, not many, and what he might do in attack if Havertz is out for any significant period of time. Declan Rice has been talking. We'll talk about Takehiro Tomiyasu as well. Some of you guys have been getting in touch talking about the Havertz news. So plenty to get stuck into today as we do head towards the weekend. Big day, of course, in the Premier League today. In fact, even though Arsenal aren't playing, it is Liverpool versus Everton, or Everton versus Liverpool, I should say, the final ever Merseyside derby at Goodison Park. I think all eyes are going to be on that one from an Arsenal point of view. You know, can they do Arsenal a favour in that game? Can they keep Liverpool only 6 points ahead of Arsenal with that game in hand, or will Liverpool move 9 points clear? And you would think at that stage, if they do that, then it's pretty much done and dusted in terms of the title race. It's a big day in the Premier League tonight. But look, let's talk about Arsenal. And I don't know why I'm laughing, because it's anything but funny, but it is very, very predictable. Kai Havertz has managed to pick up an injury while over in Dubai. Obviously, this is hot on the heels of Gabriel Martinelli picking up a hamstring injury in that game against Newcastle before the trip to Dubai. So basically the worst possible news, the news that we're all dreading. If something happens to Kai Havertz, what on earth are Arsenal going to do? Now, it has to be said that we don't know yet the full extent of this injury. Arsenal are keeping it very close to their chest at the moment. Mikel's going to be speaking on Friday at his press conference ahead of the game against Leicester, so we'll probably find out a little bit more from him if he's in a talkative type of mood when it comes to the injury. So we don't know yet. It's just being described to us. Look, there's an issue. He's had a bit of a scare. We're coming back. He's being assessed. So we're at that stage. I can't sit here and give you any more than you've probably already read. That's the word coming out of Arsenal right now. So we can't panic too much yet and think this is a tear. This is him out for 6 weeks, 2 months. This is another Bukayo Saka type situation. We just don't know. Arsenal are not giving anything away, and I haven't seen any reports from someone who knows otherwise yet. So fingers crossed, this isn't anything bad, and maybe it's a scare. Maybe it'll just keep him out for a game. It was a tight hamstring or something like that they're taking precautions with. That's the positive way to look at it. Of course, the negative way to look at it is this is going to be another Gabriel Martinelli situation at best. Potentially, if it's any sort of issue with a hamstring, it could be 3 weeks, it could be 4 weeks. And, with Arsenal's lack of options up front, that is just going to be disastrous news for the club. And, quite frankly, again, I said it after Martinelli, I'll say it after this, they've only got themselves to blame in this situation. Yes, you can say it's unlucky, but you make your own luck in these situations. And more importantly, you protect yourselves from these unlucky situations. It's something Arsenal haven't done. They haven't protected themselves because they haven't built a squad in attack that can cope with these issues. They had the opportunity. We've just been through a 4-week transfer window in which they knew they were short already in attack, in which they lost another attacker in Gabriel Jesus. I'm not going to go over it all again because I said it at the time, but they left themselves short. They took an almighty gamble, and then since that window is closed and they've lost the opportunity to strengthen in attack, they've gone and lost Gabriel Martinelli to injury, and now potentially have lost their only recognised forward that they have left, or centre forward that they have left in Kai Havertz. The worst possible outcome, and they are quite rightly going to have to face plenty of questions about their lack of activity in the transfer window. But just in terms of Kai, look, the fact is it's done. We can all sit here and moan about it and complain. And as fans, of course, we're going to be frustrated at it because they had an opportunity to strengthen and they, whatever reason, decided against it. But that option is gone now. You can't go and strengthen unless you go to the free agent market. And quite frankly, that's just not going to happen. So what are you going to do now? How are Arsenal going to cope if Kai Havertz is out for, I don't know, until the next international break? So you're basically missing Leicester, West Ham, Forest, United, Chelsea, the Champions League games, the same sort of games that Gabriel Martinelli is expected to miss, and potentially Bukayo Saka as well. How are you going to cope with that absence? Now, obviously, these are basically the three players Arsenal have left now. So you've got Leandro Trossard, you've got Raheem Sterling, and you've got Ethan Nwaneri. And that's it in terms of attack, unless you factor in some of the younger players in there, like a Nathan Butler, Oyedeji, or a Charles Sego Jr., or someone like that, Cabia, which we've just seen nothing of when it comes to the attackers. So basically, they've got Sterling, Trossard, and Nwaneri. Now, all three of those are players who could potentially play as a centre forward. The one that we've seen do it the most, of course, is Leandro Trossard, and at times he's done it very, very well for Arsenal, and Arsenal have performed very well with him in that role. But that is when you've had a Bukayo Saka playing with him, or at times almost in a two with Kai Havertz, or Kai Havertz playing just behind him and rotating. He's never done it with a very, very much out of form Raheem Sterling, who's offered nothing in attack basically since he signed for Arsenal, and an extremely talented but very, very young and inexperienced Ethan Nwaneri. So it's a completely different level what Arsenal are going to have to do now if they're going to cope without these players in attack. Mikel has bigged up Ethan Nwaneri and talked him up as a potential number 9 very much in the future. Of course, he said that. I don't think he was really probably considering it at this point, but he does say, he has said, it's got on record before saying that he thinks Ethan could potentially turn into a number 9. He has that sort of killer instinct in front of goal. And to be fair, we've seen that of all the players in this Arsenal squad at the moment. The one player who really does take a shot on, even when it's like a half chance, is Ethan Nwaneri, and he's had some success of it and scored some goals. So that is an option. Raheem Sterling, he said, has played there, and he has played there as a false 9 before. For Chelsea, he's done it. For Manchester City, he's done it at times. But the issue is there, you're talking about a Raheem Sterling who used to be good. From what we've seen from him at Arsenal right now, there's nothing to suggest that Sterling's going to suddenly come into this team, which he's going to have to do now anyway. But there's nothing to suggest he's going to come into this team and suddenly rediscover that old form. I hope he does, and it'd be brilliant if he does. But there's no evidence to back that up. All we can go on is what he's done so far in an Arsenal shirt and how effective he's looked when he's been on the pitch in an Arsenal shirt. And that's just not very effective at all. So it's a massive ask now for Arsenal. We can all talk about Liverpool versus Everton tonight, and I'll be watching it, and I'll be hoping that Everton can do Arsenal a favour. But I think you've got to be I do think I'm quite a positive person when I talk about Arsenal. I want to think, we've still got a chance. You never know. It's football. Anything can happen. But realistically speaking, if Kai Havertz is out for any significant amount of time on the back of Martinelli's injury and with Saka not back yet, it's incredibly hard to think that Arsenal can, from this point, realistically chase down Liverpool, a Liverpool side who are, scoring goals at will and playing very, very well. It's not just a case of Liverpool having to drop points. It's a case of Arsenal basically picking up maximum points in every game just to keep the pressure on. Can they realistically do that with the attacking options that they have? It's going to be incredibly difficult. Everyone's going to have to chip in. The midfielders are going to have to chip in. Odegaard is going to have to start scoring goals again. Declan Rice is going to have to start scoring because there's just nothing up front. There's very, very little for them up front. And yeah, it's just incredibly frustrating. It really, really is. And that the summer transfer window and the January transfer window are just going to be, if this season does fizzle out, if Arsenal struggle now to maintain, I'm talking about a title race, obviously, at the moment, but they're not that far off being outside the top 4. And if they can't score any goals over the next few games, then maybe that comes into it. Hopefully it doesn't. But, they've left themselves in a really awkward position with their lack of activity in the summer and in January when it comes to the attack. And fingers crossed, hopefully we get some good news on Kai Havertz on Friday and it's nothing overly serious. And maybe he just misses the Leicester game or even just misses the West Ham game after that. And it's not the worst possible outcome. But the way this season's gone, the sort of luck we've had when it comes to injuries this season, you look at this and you just think, what's coming. But anyway, this is what some of you guys have had to say on it. Sam says, Charles, I've heard that Kai has suffered a possible hamstring injury. Dubai, any news your end? I can't give you any more than I've given you right now because that's just the word we're getting, is that he's being assessed. And we'll find out more from Mikel Arteta on Friday. You said, I feel like my earlier prediction of playing Merino as a target man, number 9, is becoming ever more likely. I mean, it might even come to something like that, which is a sad state of affairs. If you're a club like Arsenal and you're going into the season with the ambitions that you've got and the targets that you've got, that you're going to end up with Mikel Merino playing as a false 9 option. I mean, it might happen. I don't. I think that is certainly behind the options of Leo playing there or even Wanyeri playing there. But maybe it's an option in game as well for the final 20, 30 minutes. I sort of laughed at the suggestion before, but now that Havertz has gone down, you kind of think, well, there's not really much else he can do apart from playing that. Aaron says absolutely the worst has happened. An injury to Havertz was predicted, and now it will be there with only Trossard up front. The injury itself was very foreseeable, as Havertz was one of the players who's played a lot since joining Arsenal. Eventually been injured or burnt out anyway, as there's no suitable backup for him. It's only been 2 weeks, but we are seeing the risk of signing no one in the winter. You then go to talk about youth players like Deji Kabir Sogo Jr. needs to get some playing time now to prevent any more injuries. And then that's going to be a key thing, because now basically Arsenal do have 3 players left. And depending again how long Havertz is out for, but say he is out for this period of time until the international break, you've got 3 players left up front: Sterling, Trossard, and Ranieri, unless you factor a Marino into that as a possible option. They cannot play every game for 90 minutes. It just can't happen, because you know what happened. They'll get injured. It's just, you've just seen it. I think 3 players, Saka, before Saka's injury, Saka, Havertz, Martinelli, I think, were in the top 5 of most minutes played for Arsenal this season, and they've all gone down with hamstring injuries, which says a lot. So you can't then just run these remaining 3 into the ground. You're going to have to have other options. So maybe the youngsters there that you talk about are going to have to come in and take the load off some of these Arsenal, the remaining Arsenal attackers. Dotty Dot says it's officially season over. To suggest we can go on and win the Premier League from 6, probably 9 points behind, or the CL with Trossard, Ranieri and Sterling until late March is just toxic positivity. It doesn't benefit anyone. There are a lot of very, very well-paid people in powerful positions within the club who must be held to account for the negligent actions across last summer and last month. You can blame poor luck, which I fully acknowledge, but they also set us up to fail for the perfect option. It's an incredibly sad day with the knowledge that our season has just ended with this news. So Dotty Dot not in a positive frame of mind. And I'm not surprised, to be honest. As I said, I like to try and keep myself positive and think positively, but it's incredibly difficult. If this is the worst news that we get from Havertz, it's incredibly difficult to think Arsenal will be left in a position where they can challenge for the 2 remaining trophies. Not beyond the realms of possibility. Football does some stupid things and crazy things, but it would be incredibly difficult. And as Dotty Dot points out, it's poor planning. It is poor planning or poor execution of the transfer windows that has led to this point. To leave yourself this short, to leave yourself open to injuries, possibly derailing the season, that's what's happened. And it is incredibly, incredibly frustrating. And the bad injury news keeps on coming. If you've seen this from Sammy Motbell at the Mail, has provided an update on Takehiro Tomiyasu, who's obviously not over in Dubai. There's been lots of sort of puzzlement about what's going on with Tommy, and Sammy has reported that there are now serious conversations underway about having another second knee operation on Tomiyasu, because the first one hasn't really worked out. Not a decision hasn't been taken yet, according to Sammy in his report in the Mail, but there are now conversations happening about whether this is something that needs to happen to try and fix his troublesome knee injury that he just can't come back from. Obviously, he's only played about 6 minutes of football so far this season. Tomiyasu, he's not really around the squad. And like I said, even some of the injured players have gone to Dubai. He hasn't. He's not there. And yeah, there is now very sort of serious concern at Arsenal that he's going to have another operation that would then leave him sidelined for another big period of time, basically ruling him out for the season, wouldn't it? Potentially more so, depending on what it is. It's really bad. And I've seen lots of horrible comments about Tomiyasu. Sort of, just sell him. He's a waste of space. This is a guy who could not be more professional. Tomiyasu, I've met him. I've interviewed him. I've spoken to people about him. He's incredibly dedicated to his profession, to football, to Arsenal, to trying to stay healthy. And, for any footballer, it's horrible not to play. And, it is incredibly frustrating. And Arsenal obviously have to make a decision on him, because you can't just keep paying a player who is out. He's contracted for another year after this, but you'd think that's going to be it. You can't give him another contract after this, obviously, because the most important attribute in football is availability. Otherwise, what's the point? But you can't. I just find it really hard to read some of the comments about Tomiyasu, who must be going through, real. And I read a good Arsblog was doing it in his column this morning. And he was like, "Don't talk to me about wages. And I think that's absolutely right. Yes, everyone go, oh, he's getting paid handsomely. Poor Tomiyasu. He's not playing and he's getting paid loads of money just to sit on the sidelines. But no one will want to play more than Tomiyasu. You only get a short time to be a footballer and to be a professional footballer, and to miss a whole year through injury, it's just a horrible, horrible thing. And he'll be absolutely gutted. And from what Mikel was saying, his headspace isn't great. That's why he's been allowed to go back to Japan at times this season to try and cope with what he's dealing with. And so yeah, I just think some of the stuff I've read about Tomiyasu is just really, really over the top and harsh. He'll be feeling this more than anyone. And he's such a dedicated player. He's such a good player as well. Fantastic, fantastic player who would just does bring so much to the squad when he's fit because of his versatility and his ability to play superbly in any position across the back line. And it's just such a shame what's going on with him at the moment. I hope they can get to the bottom of it and he can come back to play again pretty soon, because he'd be a fantastic asset when he's fit. So yeah, that's the latest on Tomiyasu. And just moving on to tonight, obviously, Everton versus Liverpool, huge game, no doubt about it. It's going to be one hell of an atmosphere. Hope Everton bullied Liverpool at Goodison last season, beat them 2-0, I think it was. In the end, we all hope that we get a repeat of that tonight. Obviously, it would at least make things interesting. If Liverpool win this, I think that's it. I think it's absolutely game over if Liverpool win it. It's their game in hand. If they move 9 points clear, I don't see any way anyone catches them, especially the fact that Arsenal is now so light in attack. If Everton can beat them and then Arsenal can win playing first on Saturday against Leicester, then the gap is down to 3 points. And although Liverpool will have played a game less, it's very different when you're looking at a league table. Basically, you could be looking at a league table with Liverpool 9 points clear, or by Saturday afternoon, you could be looking at a table where Liverpool are just 3 points clear. Psychologically, that would make a massive difference. Liverpool would then have suffered a couple of defeats in a row if you take the Plymouth game in the FA Cup. So it's a massive game, no doubt about it, for both teams. Everton are going to be so up for it. The crowd's going to be so up for it. Liverpool know what's at stake. Liverpool will be absolutely up for it because they know they can take a giant step towards the title tonight. So we'll see what happens on it. Declan Rice has been speaking. He still believes that there's a chance of Arsenal winning the title. He was talking to Sky Sports. He said there's a really long way to go. The manager said in a press conference the other week that no matter what, the only thing we can worry about is ourselves. At the end of the season, we will be there. We can only keep believing in what we believe in, work on what we've been working on, and have full trust in the manager, players, and everyone around us that we can achieve great things. It's down to us to get that over the line. Big things are coming. We need to stay positive and we need to keep going. So Declan Rice still believes. And yeah, I think a lot of what other people believe will be sort of decided tonight, I think, on the back of this game at Goodison. It is a massive game, no doubt about it. Yeah, I think everyone's going to be tuning in to see if Everton can do Arsenal a favour or not. So we'll talk about the result of that, of course, in tomorrow's show. Mikel Arteta's press conference is on Friday. The players are now back from Dubai. They are in the country. And yeah, all eyes on Leicester at the weekend, and certainly all eyes on Mikel Arteta's press conference on Friday, when we might well get a full statement or comment on not Bukayo Saka, on Kai Havertz's injury. Thanks for watching, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your day. I'll speak to you soon. Bye-bye.